You woke up this morning already behind. Before your feet touched the floor, your mind was running through everything that could go wrong today. The meeting, the message you haven't answered, the thing someone said to you last week that you're still carrying around like a stone in your chest. This is modern life, constant noise, constant pressure, the feeling that you are always one step away from losing control. But here is what most people don't know. 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world sat alone at a desk and wrote something down. Not orders, not conquest. Something far more difficult. He wrote lessons to himself. Reminders about how to stay mentally unshakable in a world that never stopped testing him. His name was Marcus Aurelius. And what he discovered, what Seneca and Epictetus also discovered, applies to your life right now, today, in a way that is almost unsettling in its precision. These are 10 Stoic lessons that will make you mentally unshakable. Block 2. The Philosopher. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire from 161 to 180 AD. He commanded armies, he managed political betrayal, he watched his children die. He governed through plague, through war, through the kind of pressure that would shatter most people completely. And yet, by all accounts, he was considered one of the most just and measured rulers in Roman history. His secret wasn't talent or luck, it was philosophy. Specifically, Stoicism, a school of thought founded in Athens around 300 BC by Zeno of Citium, later refined by Seneca, a statesman and writer who counseled emperors, and Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most respected teachers of the ancient world. These men were not theorists sitting in comfort. They faced exile, loss, poverty, and death. Their philosophy was forged in fire, and it can forge you too. Block 3. The Core Teaching. Lesson 1. The Dichotomy of Control. Epictetus wrote in the Enchiridion, "Some things are in our control and others are not." This is perhaps the most important sentence in Stoic philosophy. Everything you suffer comes from confusing these two categories. You cannot control what people think of you. You cannot control the weather, the economy, the behavior of others, or the passage of time. What you can control is this: your response, your judgment, your attention. Every morning you have a choice about where to place your energy. The Stoics called this prohairesis, your faculty of choice. It is the one thing that can never be taken from you. Lesson 2. Amor Fati, love of fate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." And Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by Stoicism, gave this idea its famous name, Amor Fati, not merely accepting what happens, but willing it, embracing it, saying, "This is exactly what was supposed to happen, and I will use it." When something goes wrong today, the Stoic does not waste energy wishing it had gone differently. They ask, what does this make possible? Lesson 3. Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. This is not morbid. It is clarifying. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." When you hold your mortality clearly in mind, trivial things fall away. The small insults, the petty worries, the energy you waste performing for people who don't matter to you. Death is the ultimate filter. Apply it early. Lesson 4. Your thoughts create your experience. Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not your circumstances, not your income, not whether people approve of you, your thoughts." This is radical self-responsibility, and it is also radical freedom, because it means no external force can determine how you feel without your permission. Lesson 5. Obstacles are the way. Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every difficulty is training. Every setback is instruction. The Stoic mind does not look for a path around the obstacle. It looks for what the obstacle is teaching. Block 4. Why it's hard. Here is the honest truth. These ideas sound simple. They are not easy. We are living in an environment specifically engineered to make Stoic practice difficult. Every notification, every algorithm, every headline is designed to make you react, quickly, emotionally, without reflection. The modern world profits from your anxiety. It profits from your reactivity. It profits from the distance between you and your own mind. And our biology doesn't help. The human nervous system is ancient. It was built for immediate threats, predators, famine, exile from the tribe. It was not built for the kind of slow, chronic, invisible pressure that defines modern life. So we catastrophize, we ruminate, we treat a difficult email like a life-threatening emergency. The Stoics knew this about human nature. They didn't shame it. They simply said, this is why practice is necessary. This is why philosophy is not decoration. It is armor. Block 5. Practical application. So let's talk about how to actually build this armor. Lesson 6. Begin the day with intention. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life." Marcus Aurelius began each morning with a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Before the day began, he mentally rehearsed what difficulties might arise, not to feed anxiety, but to drain it of its power. When you have already imagined the hard conversation, the unexpected setback, the frustration, it arrives with less force. Each morning, spend 2 minutes asking, what challenges might I face today, and how will I respond? Lesson 7. Practice the evening review. Seneca described reviewing each day before sleep. I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. Not to judge yourself harshly, but to learn. Where did you act from reason? Where did you react from fear or ego? The evening review builds the self-knowledge that Stoicism requires. Lesson 8. Reframe before you react. When something provokes you, before you speak, before you act, insert a pause. The Stoics called this the gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lives your freedom. Train yourself to ask, is this within my control? What is the most useful response I can offer here? Over time, this pause becomes automatic, and what once sent you spiraling becomes merely information. Lesson 9. Voluntary discomfort. Seneca deliberately practiced poverty, eating simple food, wearing rough clothes, not out of deprivation, but to prove to himself that he did not need luxury to be well. The practice of choosing discomfort voluntarily trains your mind to distinguish between what you want and what you need. Take cold showers, skip the comfort meal, walk instead of drive. Each small discomfort says to your nervous system, I am in control, not my cravings. Lesson 10. See the whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The mentally unshakable person is not someone who never feels fear or pain. They are someone who has developed the perspective to see their circumstances clearly, not catastrophically, not wishfully, but accurately. They know what matters, they know what doesn't, and they act accordingly. Block 6. The transformation. Imagine for a moment what your life looks like when these 10 lessons are no longer ideas but habits. Someone criticizes you. You don't collapse. You don't rage. You consider whether they are right, take what is useful, and release the rest. Something fails. A plan falls apart. You don't spiral into self-blame or victimhood. You ask, what is this making possible? You adapt. You move. The noise of the world keeps going. The notifications, the opinions, the chaos. But inside, there is something different. A steadiness. Not detachment. You still feel. You still care. But you are no longer owned by what you feel. You have become the observer of your own mind, not its prisoner. This is what the Stoics called eudaimonia, flourishing. Not happiness in the shallow sense, but the deep, unshakable sense that you are living in accordance with your values, your reason, your best self. Block 7. Zoom out. Here is the larger picture. Every human being who has ever lived has faced the same fundamental situation. We arrive in a world we did not choose. We are given a nature we did not ask for. We face losses we cannot prevent. We will die. The Stoics did not flinch from this. They looked directly at it and said, "And still, there is a way to live well. Not by escaping the difficulty, but by becoming the kind of person who can meet it." Epictetus, born into slavery, with no power over his physical circumstances, still became one of the freest men who ever lived, because he understood that his mind was sovereign territory. No one could enter it without his permission. Your mind is sovereign territory too. Ancient wisdom does not become ancient because it stopped being true. It becomes ancient because each generation has to rediscover it for themselves. You are rediscovering it right now. Block 8. Echo Plus. Title card. Part A. Cinematic Echo. You woke up this morning already behind, or maybe you did. But somewhere between that first anxious thought and this moment, something shifted. A door opened, 2,000 years old, and still perfectly intact. The Stoics do not promise you a life without difficulty. They promise you something far more valuable, a self that difficulty cannot destroy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That work begins now, not tomorrow, not when life gets easier. Now. Part B, Title Card Voiceover. Stoicism. Master your mind, master your life.